Hi Mortaza,
Hello, good
how are
morning.
you?
Great, thank you.
So you're here at Voices Festival. You're a journalist and you're coming from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what made you decide to become a journalist?
Yeah. First of all, I was in Iran, living in Iran in Isfahan. I was 15 years old during the 2009 Iranian Revolution, the Green Revolution. I was a kid. I was very passionate about the photography. I was taking photos during this protest. Got arrested by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. I was taking photos for myself, just for fun. I got arrested, and after 48 hours, they released me, and I started to become a journalist because that's why I got arrested. I was asking this question to myself: why I got arrested? Why the photography is forbidden? Yeah.
Okay. And since then, you've been working as a photographer and then.
Since then, I'm working as a journalist, video journalist, yeah, with the TVs, especially with the French ones. I have worked with also American ones, Inside the News. In France, I'm working with the French television, Arte, Franco-German TV, and France 24.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your career and basically now you're living in France? How come? What happened?
Yeah. I studied and worked a lot in Afghanistan, in Kabul. I'm originally coming from Wardak. It's 2 hours from Kabul, the city, in the center of Afghanistan. Then in the middle of chaos, where the Taliban attacking that time in 2012, 13, 14, 15. Many journalists lost their lives. My colleagues, one of my colleagues, Javid, was beheaded by Taliban because after our investigation on the opium trade. I got threats from Taliban. That time in 2015, in April, I asked many embassies to seek safety, asylum. Finally, I asked the U.S., Italy, and France. Finally, France gave me the visa. I arrived to France. I didn't know anyone, not speaking any word of French, knowing no one in France, in Paris. I slept in the street for 3 months as homeless, and after that, I got a place to sleep in the House of Journalists, which is in Paris, based in Paris, helping political journalists who are seeking asylum in France and giving them a place to sleep, and also pursuing the asylum, learning the language. I learned the language there in this place. I got my political refugee status in France, and I started working with French media.
Okay. In your experience, what could be done to make sure that journalists who are actually forced to leave their country can find a place, a safe place, to start again and keep continuing being a reporter? What do you think the international community, the EU, or nationally can be done to make sure this happens?
Unfortunately, the majority of journalists coming to EU, they cannot find their job here in Europe. They become a receptionists in a hotel, the security guards. First of all, it's integration. It's very difficult. They're coming from different culture. They don't know the language. The language barrier is very important. The connection, the contacts. They don't know anyone in the journalism here. What we can do in Europe, we can help them to know the codes here. For example, it's not the same how we make a report here in Europe than in Afghanistan, Iran, and other. Then we can help them, maybe propose them an internship, helping them like they would love to do, being volunteer, helping us with, for example, in the newsrooms, we need people with the language capacity to translate for us some reports coming from Iran, Afghanistan. This country is in war, and we need them. It's not that we're paying a lot of interpreters, and this we can also help them, these journalists, to find a way here in Europe. First of this, then after they can, they are brilliant. They were journalists. They're coming in this country. They were successful there. They're coming here. They don't know the language. They don't know the contact anyone. Then first we show them the way they can continue. First, in 2016, after learning the language, somebody gave me a blog, free blog in the media part, and I started writing in French. And after that, I find freelance jobs with the Frenchmen. This is how it works. They give me the blog to work for free, writing for free. Then I find job in Europe, in France, in Greece. I worked in Greece in the refugee camps with the German media.
Yeah. Okay. And before that, like before having to leave the country, I also would like to speak about, okay, what's the most important, not really typically the right word, but would you put the priority into ensuring safety of reporters on the ground, making sure that they don't have to leave and they can continue their work? Or would you put the priority into making sure that if they have to leave, they leave, and then we can find a place for them to work, continue being reporters in those times?
Being a war reporter is very risky. Being a war reporter is very risky in war zones, in an election, for example, in a political situation. In Afghanistan, where every week, every day, risking having attacks from Islamic states of Khorasan or other. Before the Taliban arrival, we had Taliban attacks in Afghanistan against the minorities, against schools, mosques. What I can say is there is a lack of information for safety in those countries because there are no training. There are no there's journalism school. There are trainings abroad. I did it in India. How to be a war reporter in Afghanistan, in war zones. After that, there's a lack of information, there's a lack of training in those countries. For example, here in Europe, there are a lot of journalists, they want to go to those war zones. They didn't get training even in Europe. And they're afraid to go there. For example, we have many local journalists working for the European media in Afghanistan, in Iran, those countries. We cannot go in Gaza. We received a lot of videos and images we used here. But we need this first because those journalists going still since 20 years, 30 years to those war countries, but young people, they are interested to go, but they don't know how to go, and they don't know the way how to cover those zones. They're using fixers. It's important to mention it because those countries working with fixers, it's a work in the shadow and they are not recognized in a way that they are not protected. Of course, a journalist coming to the war zones from Europe, he has the contract, insurance, everything, but